right, welcome to Always Growing. I'm Heidi.
I'm Dave.
Always Growing, we talk about how we are growing in our marriages every day. So today we're going to talk about the log and the plank. What to do when your spouse gets on your nerves. So,
all right, let the games begin.
Have a sense of humor is tip number one, right? So Dave, we occasionally get on each other's nerves.
Of course we do, because everyone does, don't they?
Yeah, right. I mean, you cannot be in close relationship and not get on each other's nerves. That's the reality.
Yeah. I mean, you could, but it would be, you would have to be like a really, non-emotive person. You'd be like, I exist in my world and I just do my stuff.
Yeah, I feel like part of deep intimacy is showing more parts of yourself. You know, like the first date is like, oh, it's kind of fun. And then as you grow, you're seeing more layers. And those layers tend to be pretty complicated. And maybe certain things, we all have little obsessions and little things that are important to us. And so we're going to first talk about what does your spouse do that gets on your nerves. And this is a tender thing. So we have to do it in two ways. Number one, lots of kindness, right? Lots of putting the best perspective and all of that good stuff. Lots of grace. And then also a sense of humor. You know, being able to say, this is kind of funny. Do not pick the thing to share that your spouse does that gets on your nerves that is going to poke the bear. That's not kind. Yes.
Don't continue to poke.
Right, yeah.
The bear.
So Dave and I are going to share one of ours. And so Dave and I guess for me, the thing that drives me crazy, and it is in this article that you can look at on cph.org, the blog, is that when we go on vacation, Dave likes to do things. He likes to go, and he likes to, especially outdoor things. You will do museums. That's maybe not your thing. You're more like, let's get in the nature. Let's ride some bikes. Let's go for a hike. And I like all of that. That's one thing that brings us together because we both like the outdoors. Yeah. But usually on vacation, I like to read my book. It's very important to me that 75% of my vacation is no one talking to me while I read.
I know.
Dave's already like,
I don't understand that, but okay.
I think that's part of the thing that it gets on your nerves is maybe we don't understand that aspect of our spouse sometimes. But that's neither here nor there. So that's the thing that gets on my nerves about Dave, especially on vacation. I'm like, oh my goodness, just sit still, you know. So Dave, what gets on your nerves about me?
Waiting for you to get ready. I think we've said this before on another one. You're taking a long time to get going. We're late for things, which we don't really have to be on a certain time, but we're, half hour or whatever, end up late. And then
a half hour late? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, depending on what it is. I mean,
okay.
The less firm the time is, the more late that we become.
That is true.
And then
I like fashionable lateness.
And then extremely fashionable, very fashionable.
Okay.
But no, yeah. So yeah, that's my thing. It drives me crazy. So.
And I kind of know that. I think we know that about each other. That's one reason we can laugh about it is because it comes up again and again, and we are able to have a sense of humor about it. Sometimes we get pretty irritable about it with each other. So the scripture passage we have today is from Matthew 7, 3 through 5. And it says, Jesus teaches us in Matthew 7, 3 through 5, why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. So this really applies in marriage, I think, because we point out the issues of our spouse so easily. When we all have our own stuff going on, I think it's so easy, particularly in marriage, because we're living in and every day together, and we think that they should change. We want them to do something different. And I think because of the intimacy, again, we think that they should be able to change because we told them they should change. We should have some influence in that. And so it becomes really a struggle, I think, in deciding what is worth it? Like, what's worth discussing and arguing? What's worth getting upset about? I think especially early in our marriage, when I, for instance, didn't know that you chewed louder than any living human being when you ate chips. Like, those kind of things you don't know until you are...
like you chew loud as well.
I think people chew loud. Like, that's like a thing. But it gets on people's nerves, right? Especially
that
when
was
you're trying
really
to, like,
funny.
watch
That was
TV.
one of the like quarantine jokes. Like, you notice this now since
suddenly.
you're together, is the chewing.
Well, someone said, one of the quarantine jokes too was like, my husband has a business meeting voice I didn't know he had, and I think he would be really annoying to me if I was in
There's
those
more
meetings.
annoying things that we learned during quarantine.
Because you see your spouse in a different realm than you did before, I think. You know, people doing Zoom meetings and all that stuff. So...
But sorry, I just sidetracked us.
No, that was a really good point, though. I was talking about chewing loudly. You made the point that there's just a lot of things that we learn about our spouse. And so Jesus' suggestion here is like, worry about yourself a little bit more. I think that's just the basic, like, worry about what you need to do. And so I wonder how this actually plays out in marriage. Like, how do I, so you're chewing loudly, or you want to go on a bike ride. Let's go to our original one for vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you would ask me to go, and I would get annoyed, like the irritability level would go up really quickly, and that's maybe not healthy. So instead, the suggestion I have in the article is ask yourself this question: why does this bother me? Why? Like, why am I upset that Dave is asking me to go on a bike ride? And that takes a little effort, I think, to process through in your head. But that does help us do what Jesus is suggesting here. Like, just some internal reflection so we can respond. That doesn't mean I'm going to go on the bike ride. It doesn't mean either of us is getting our way. You know, it's not a competition, like you said. It's not a game. But at the same time, just kind of self-reflecting. So the question I guess I would throw at you, Dave, is, so I'm late a lot and you have to wait for me a lot. Like, why does it get on your nerves? Why does it bother you, do you think?
Oh, well, yeah, if you're asking really, it's just because I feel like I need to keep my word, and I need to be like, I need people to count on me that I'll be there. And if I'm late, then people can't count on me. And like, I hate that.
Like, you feel like it's important to your character that you are dependable, and you want that to be reflected to other people. And so then when I do something that blocks that value for you, that, and same thing. So when I am reading my book and you want to go for a bike ride, it's important to me that I work really hard, and I need to have some space and time that I don't take very often. You know, there's a lot of caring for people in my life and interacting with people and things like that. And so for me, it feels like you're saying, hey, don't you think you should do something? You know, when that's not what you're saying at all. You're saying, would you like to go for a bike ride? Because you like to spend time with me and you like to be outside.
Like purely saying it for if you want to or not. I'm not saying you have to, but...
Right, but my head and heart hears, you should get off your butt and stop reading that book and go do something. You know, and so there's always a value wrapped up in the irritability. You know, there's always a value pressure there. And so really reflect on that and understanding what that value is in whatever's driving us wild that our spouse is doing will help us then be able to just respond with, you know what? I've been working really hard. I really want a break, so I'm just going to read my book. You know?
And we actually, we have talked about the book reading thing as far as like, oh, okay, I got it. You are just, that's fine, you know?
Right.
So we kind of talked through it a little bit, and then because it was really getting annoying, so...
Well, so like, if it's a consistent kind of thing that gets on our nerves, like you're talking about, returning to the topic and hashing it out a little bit.
Okay, this keeps happening.
Yeah, how should we deal with this together? You know, that's like the question we're asking. I think that is really good and true. Even with like the chip chewing. Like, I know it's such a silly one, but I don't understand. Maybe we should make a rule where people don't eat chips while we watch TV or something, like, or don't eat crunchy things. Because
the trick is like keeping your mouth closed. Like, don't have your mouth open and chew.
Okay, now we said
and then
gross.
you're fine. No, I mean, like, not even for like a millisecond.
Just like,
always got to be closed. Like, once the chip's in, it's shut.
I don't think that matters. I think it's just loud. And so, I don't know. And we've tried, like, we do use closed captioning a lot. Like, that helps. You know, that does make a difference.
Random fact, like for deer, like you can make this crunching sound, and then they feel like there's someone's eating, so they want to, like, they're attracted to it.
Be near the food.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to draw you in, like with the chewing.
Oh, the romance of the chewing sounds. There's like me.
Don't you want to eat with me?
How did you bring crunchy chips into the mating rituals of deer and
just
humans?
The way it is, you know. It's not mating rituals. It's just hungry.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, you know, when you feel that rise up inside of yourself, you know, we all have a different ways where we feel the kind of nerve spouse getting on our nerves, feeling inside of our chest or in our head or whatever. Then just reflecting, why is this bothering me? You know, looking at the log and plank and finding out a little bit more about ourselves will go a really long way. We encourage you to do that today, and be kind. You know, be gracious to each other and have a sense of humor about those things that get on your nerves, and keep loving each other through it. And just being kind and compassionate. So, all right.
Very good.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.